A shadow at the door. Some people dream of power, others chase it. I spend most of my nights trying to ignore it. Baldur's Gate is full of dangerous men with dangerous ambitions. I keep my head down, work a job that doesn't require questions, and do my best to stay off the lists of people worth noticing. The name Vane carries weight in certain circles, and I'd rather not give anyone a reason to remember it. So I live small. I move through the city like I don't belong to it, and for the most part it works. The butcher shop I work for is run by an old human named Laurus. He doesn't ask about my past, and I don't ask why a man with military tattoos is selling meat instead of fighting wars. It's an arrangement that works. But tonight, I'm closing alone. I pull my cloak tighter as I step onto the street, the night air thick with the scent of the harbour, salt, damp wood, and the faint rot of fish left too long in the sun. The streets are mostly empty at this hour. I keep my stride even, casual. Nothing to notice, nothing to follow. Then I feel it, a presence. It's subtle at first, the weight of eyes where there should be none. The silence between footsteps. I don't stop walking, but I listen. The street lamps flicker as I pass, shadows stretch too far, curling at the edges of my vision. Something is wrong. Then a whisper, not a voice. A shift in the air, like something moving too fast to be seen. I step forward, then sidestep sharply. A hand slashes through the air where my throat had been. I spin, catching a glimpse of my attacker as they land with unnatural grace. Tall, pale, red eyes glinting in the lamplight. A vampire, because of course it is. A hunter in the dark. I exhale slowly, rolling my shoulders. Don't escalate, don't make this worse. Not interested, I say flatly, turning as if to keep walking. The vampire smiles, sharp and amused. Oh, but you are. A test. They're waiting to see how I react. I don't take the bait. You've got the wrong person. A blur of motion. Too fast. I barely tilt my head in time to avoid the next strike. The third one, I block. Shit. The moment my fingers close around their wrist, I feel it. The shift, the pulse of power curling in my gut. Shadow stirs beneath my skin, eager, hungry. I release them immediately, stepping back. Last warning. They laugh. You're hiding something. Not well enough, apparently. I don't answer. I just move. The fight I didn't want. The vampire comes at me full speed. I dodge left, disappearing into shadow. They lunge at the space where I had been. I step out of the void behind them just long enough to drive my elbow into the base of their skull. They stumble, snarl. Their fangs glint as they swipe for my throat again. I don't let them. I step into their space, my strikes quick, controlled. A snap of my wrist sends a pulse of darkness through my hand, the magic shattering bone upon impact. The vampire hisses, staggering back, realizing too late that I am not easy prey. Then I end it. A final strike, shadow curling at my fingertips, slamming into their chest. Magic pulses outward, dragging the light from the air as it erupts through them. They don't scream. They just turn to ash. I stand there for a long moment, my breath slow, my heartbeat steady. Then I swallow down the power still thrumming in my veins. I exhale, letting the shadows settle back into stillness. My eyes fall to the only thing left behind. A folded piece of parchment, half buried in the ashes. I crouch, picking it up. The wax seal is unbroken. A sigil I don't recognize. I flip it open, scanning the words. An invitation. A party tomorrow night. High District. For a moment, I just stare at it. Then I sigh. Of course, I tuck the invitation into my coat and walk home. Chapter 2. A Game of Masks. I knew this gig was too good to be true. Don't complain, I mutter under my breath, adjusting the strap of my lute as I step through the gilded archway. Just play the songs. Get paid, get out. The manor is huge. Vaulted ceilings, gold-trimmed everything, and nobles who are trying too hard to pretend they're impressed. I know these types. What I don't know is why they're all vampires. The realization creeps in slowly. The pale skin, the too sharp smiles, the way their eyes linger too long. I keep my expression neutral, but my pulse quickens. Then I hear something that makes it worse. Went missing last night. A voice murmurs near the balcony. I shift slightly, pretending to adjust my instrument as I listen. Gone without a trace. No body left behind. Just dust. Who? Varin. He was supposed to report back this morning. He never did. The air changes. Tension coils between them, thick and unspoken. Whoever Varin was, he was important. I swallow, my fingers tightening slightly on my lute. Then a presence shifts near the entrance. I look up. A man steps inside, dark clothing, golden eyes that scan the room like he's measuring threats. I walk into the ballroom with shadows clinging to my skin, swirling around my ankles and wrists in slow, deliberate coils. They don't flare. They don't warn. They follow. The chatter doesn't stop when I enter. Not right away. Most of them don't know what they're looking at. I prefer it that way. I move through the room without breaking stride, heading straight for the long table at the center, where the true rot sits in velvet and rings. I almost make it. Then a man steps in front of me, pale-skinned, bearded, armor trimmed in noble fashion, a vampire who's clearly been trained and believes in the weight of that training. He says nothing. Neither do I. I move. A shift in my heel, my body slips left, and the shadows bend with me. I pivot low, gliding past him in one smooth arc. He jerks, too late. Open palm, just beneath the ribs. The force rolls into him like a wave crashing through armor. Black magic ripples from my strike, shadow coiling through his chest plate like smoke through glass. His breath catches hard. He grits, recovers, spins fast, arm wide, lunging. I vanish. Not with sound, not with flash, just gone. I reappear behind him, silent, calm. My hand flattens against his spine. The shock drives through him like the floor dropped out. He stumbles. I shift again, sliding sideways before he turns. 2 fingers tap his temple. His vision folds. Darkness. Not natural. Not gentle. It takes everything. He stumbles, lost inside it. His stance breaks. He strikes where I was, not where I am. I catch his wrist. Metal clatters. He folds again as my knee buries into his gut. Then I lay my hand against his chest, slow, steady. Shadow magic floods down my arm. My veins light violet beneath skin. It enters him like frost in his blood. His muscles seize. His heart stutters. He drops, locked mid-movement. Like time caught him wrong. The ballroom? Quiet now. I roll my shoulder, adjust my sleeve, then keep walking. The crowd doesn't part. They retreat. Chapter 4, a different kind of battle. He doesn't speak like someone trying to impress a room. He doesn't look around, doesn't introduce himself, doesn't offer apologies. He simply exists, and the room folds around him like it's been forced to remember something it wanted to forget. I stand at the edge of the ballroom, near the back of the stage, watching. The vampire he dropped hasn't moved, his body locked, twitching slightly, like the magic inside him still hasn't let go. The man at the center of it all hasn't even raised his voice. "You let them attack me," he says, tone flat. "You let them act without permission, without discipline." No one responds, not until one of the seated nobles, a real one, the kind whose rings weigh more than his words, leans forward, his voice careful. "This is not the place for escalation." The man looks at him, just looks, and the noble leans back. He doesn't ask who this man is, doesn't challenge his right to be here. He knows. "One of ours is missing," another says. "You know this." "I know he attacked me," the man replies. "I know he's dead. There's no denial, no backpedaling, no dancing around the truth. And you know who I am," he says quietly, "so you know this shouldn't be a conversation." The room shifts. I feel it, like something cold sliding beneath everyone's skin. Whatever this man is, he's not bluffing, he's not posturing, and they know it. "There will be questions," one of them offers, "among the other houses." He steps forward. "Let them ask, let them remember." He doesn't need to raise his voice, every syllable carries weight, and then he says it. "I'm sure you remember how the last war with the werewolves ended. Don't make me remind you." The nobles fall silent, and for the first time since I walked into this world of monsters and masks, I see something real. Fear. Not of exposure, not of scandal, of him. Chapter 5, Attacks on Blood. Ely Vane. I know exactly what I did, and I don't regret it. The Vanes don't make idle threats. If you disrespect the family, you don't just get an apology or a slap on the wrist. You pay for it. The vampires learned that the hard way. Word spread fast. By dawn, the doctors who supplied blood to vampire clientele had nearly doubled their prices. The grave robbers who handled stolen corpses, harvested human and non-human remains for spells, alchemy, or darker purposes, had tripled theirs. The entire vampire underworld descended into chaos.